Hey, what's up? It's Ward Wrestling here. Man, I have an amazing show. Another one, the first of many this week. I've got Hawkeye National Champ, Reese Larramendy. A lot of accolades. I mean, she was a U20 champ before she even hit college. She's only 19. She just competed in the Olympic trials. First year, not first year at Iowa, but the first year Iowa was in the league, and they won themselves a national title. Not one, but two. Well, you won two because you won an individual one, and then you won the team one. So, yeah, against my son's school, I'm so sad. But no, no, it's really cool to see you guys out there, and Hawkeye Wrestling. Obviously, if they're involved in college wrestling, it's just going to make every team's better because they're gonna work so hard to try to get to your level. So it's awesome. But congratulations. I mean, I could read 50 of your accolades here. But I think those few say it all. But thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Of course, yes. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, I know we were talking earlier how we met. I was at the Olympic trials, and there was an elevator that took up and down. And I mentioned the elevator. We talked a little bit about the season, and I was like, damn, that's a smart girl. And yeah, because we talked about the new rivalry with the team and stuff and how you guys did. And then I get on the airplane and sitting right in front of me is your mom and dad, and we start talking. So that's kind of cool. So, man, I met the whole family that weekend.
Yes, awesome.
We'll talk about the first year competing in the NCAAs with Iowa. But fresh on all of our minds, Olympic trials, 19 years old, and you had an opportunity to compete at the Olympic trials. I know the one girl you beat at the beginning, then she got you at the end. In between, you won a few matches. I think you got to the semis on the front and then like fourth on the back, right? If I remember right.
Yep.
So just to win, I mean, I'm sure people in the wrestling community understand how huge that tournament is. Just to win one match in that tournament is insane, let alone win a couple. Because I was telling people when I came back, like they would announce you guys like, whatever, this girl, U20 World Champion, 3-time Iowa, whatever, Fargo champ, like these accolades against another one that's 3-time Fargo, 2-time world, and then those two people went 0-2 or 1-2 or something, and just what was it? I know you've competed in world championships because you've gotten fifth, you've won one at U20, you've been on this level since you were a little girl. But being at the Olympic trials, what was that like?
Yeah, it was surreal. I had to definitely keep reminding myself that I belong there because when you go backstage and you're in the warm-up area and you just see all these guys, Jordan Burroughs, Helen Maroulis, Kyle Dake, all these guys that you used to just watch it on TV, and it's who you grow up wrestling or watching wrestling, and you're competing in the same tournament as them. I think one point I was wrestling along Matt's side with Kyle Dake and Jason Nolf, and that, like, if you told me that 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed it, right? And so just really reminding myself that I belong there, right? That I earned a spot there was the biggest thing to perform the way that I did. And it was weird because I had to switch. I didn't plan on competing in this Olympic trials. It's a long college season, and I just wanted to focus on the college season and then U20, the World Championships. That's just my goal. 2028 has been my dreams for as far as Olympic dreams goes. So it was a really quick turnaround between, winning a national title, earning that spot, and being like, okay, you have to switch your mind to fully believe that you're going to go win this, right? Because I mentioned before, there's no point of going
and then you had to go up a weight.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Because 65 is not an Olympic weight, and that's the weight that I feel best at. I don't really have to cut. I just walk around there. So that was also another decision, right? It was a quick turnaround between World Team Trials and that. And so between cutting and going up, and I just wanted to wrestle there. I just want to test my capabilities and feel my best. And I don't believe weight is too much of a difference for me, right? Because it's like, okay, the two best at 62 and 68, you got Kayla Miracle, you got Meat Lore, right? So it's not like I can cut and maybe get an easier path or bump up and get an easier path. So to me, it was just like, hey, let's not cut weight, let's just go have fun, and stylistically, obviously, it's very different between 62 and 68. So 62 is 100% what I'll go in 2028. That's what I'll feel better at, and competition wise. But yeah, that was another factor. So it was interesting. I think it also taught me just to believe that I can compete at any level, at any weight group, like 24/7, right? I don't just have to focus on college or just focus on my age group. Like, why not believe that I could be the best, at any age group, any level, 24/7. That's just only going to help me grow mentally and physically. So that was a big thing that I learned. And like I said, just staying present, knowing that I believe, or know that I belong there. And then yeah, the first match was the hardest, like getting that out of the way. And it was like just I wanted to win that one so bad, like so bad, because I was like, this is the moment, all right? Just get past that this first match. But then also just reminding myself to have fun, not putting too much pressure on it. Really, and like I said, I usually, like when we would compete in Carver, I try not to look up and look at the fans because that can psych you out sometimes. But for this, I did. I made sure when I was walking out there, I mean, I looked up and I wanted to know like what I was wrestling in and the opportunity I was getting. And I wanted to look up and, just realize the arena and the athletes that I was competing alongside with. And, some of these athletes, it's their last time ever competing domestically, and some forever. When I was competing, Jaden Cox was retiring, like things like that.
Yeah.
And it's such like the fact that I got to experience that and like just be a part of that was so surreal, and has motivated
Listen,
me.
as a photographer, I mean, I started taking pictures just during COVID. I started doing this during COVID, and then out of COVID, I started taking pictures because when I started interviewing like athletes that are in college or have already went through college, a lot of them said, man, I wish there was photographers when I was in high school. I wish there was people taking pictures. I have no memories. So it
Oh,
made me, I never did photography. So it made me go get a camera, and I tried it. And now
awesome. That is
so
awesome.
to go from there to go to the Olympic trials, I too was walking out, looking up, going, holy moly, this is crazy.
Exactly.
And then, yes, it's the Olympics that legends that we've been watching for years
Yeah.
are deciding probably to go away and
Yep.
not do it. We'll see them in coaching and we'll see them in other
Of
stuff.
course.
But yeah, it was a funny story because your mom was telling me, she's like, man, the poor girl, I think she had to wrestle when Helen was on a mat, when Jordan was on a mat, when Cox was on a mat. And she's like, she said, you want to wrestle, but then you also want to watch them.
Yeah.
You're like, she's like,
Exactly. I
man,
just,
it
yeah, I heard
was,
it. It was when he was retiring, and just the whole stadium was interrupting, and I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? They're like, you're trying to stay focused on your match.
you're like,
It's
oh
like,
my God, just
wait,
think leg lace, leg
yes,
lace. Don't
yes,
think of
yep,
that.
yeah.
Right?
And then finally, after I had no idea what happened, and then after I was like, oh, Jaden Cox was retiring. Like, what? I didn't know if it was a big move or if it was an upset,
On the
something
mat right next to you.
right next to me. Yeah, it was crazy.
That'll be a story. You'll be in a bar at like 40 years old one day and you'll be like, that guy retired on the mat next to me.
Yeah, that's a story to tell for sure.
That was pretty. But you said like getting to compete against people you grew up idolizing or whatever. Like
Yeah,
I think your teammate said, Kylie Welker said, wrestle, you know, I wrestled until what do you say?
idols
My idols became
became competitors, or yeah,
my
when something.
competitor or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's awesome. And yeah, that's pretty cool, right? As you girls are growing up now, because
Mhm.
she's about the same age as you, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think a year older, yeah. Or I'm kind of young for my grade, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, so and she made a good run there too.
Yeah.
Um those two girls have wrestled each other what, like 5 6 times. So
Oh yeah. Maybe.
when I talk to wrestlers, they say wrestling somebody over and over and over again is the hardest thing to do because
Absolutely.
you get to
You're
know
both
each other.
making small adjustments that have to be made. And yeah, like Yazdani and Taylor, those guys. It was every match, it was just the small adjustments because you know each other so well. It's a really interesting thing. Yeah.
It's so rewind. You're in Iowa, but you
Mhm.
guys show up last year to Iowa. So you're actually your freshman year in college, not
Right.
necessarily your freshman year wrestling, right? Because this year was that for you, a
Right.
redshirt year. Um, so you guys go there knowing that okay, this is being built. This is the goal. We're going to be put into the NCAA's 23, 24. Was it just a lot of like anticipation or preparation or just man, are you watching the NCAA's going, man, I want to be on that stage. I want to get that feeling. I want to wrestle that girl or whatever. Like, was it? were you guys just itching just to get into this?
Yeah, for sure. And not only to get to wrestle, in those competitions, but yeah, like we only got to compete like 3 or 4 times, the whole year. And so that's kind of tough. But yeah, it was, we ended up because Nationals is in Iowa, we got to go and watch it in person. And yeah, I mean, as soon as it concluded, we were talking about wrestling in it and how we couldn't wait, and just how much of a show we could put on, how grateful we are that it gets to be in our own backyard, and it motivated us to put on a good season so that we could have a crowd show up and want to watch us. That was a big thing, and that we want is to be entertainers, and to just go out there and wrestle hard. We know what like Iowa style means and like what it means to wrestle for Iowa, and it's not just necessarily this like gritty hand fighting, but it's just you go to score points. And like your job out there is to score points, and wrestle hard and just be entertaining. You want to entertain those fans. That's how you get them in. That's how you bring them in. It's how you keep them there. And that's like been a goal of mine since coming here to Iowa, and it's helped me in my wrestling is, I don't want to be a boring wrestler. I don't want people to think that my matches are, 1-1, 2-1 scores. I want us to put points on the board, and people to get excited for when I go out there because they know it's going to be entertaining and high level, and lots of points are going to be put up. So that just being in Iowa and knowing what we're wrestling for and the crowd we're wrestling for, the fans, and on the flip side of that, the people that don't want us to win, right? Like that's been so motivating for me, and like the way that I wrestle, the way that I approach matches, with just such an offensive mindset. It's like I've never been like a defensive wrestler, but I would say before I came to Iowa, I was pretty conservative. Didn't shoot a lot, kind of hesitated on some things, but ever since going there, I've just been able to let it fly, and like I said, just want to put on a show. But with that being said, still being strategic with it, right? You're not just shooting to shoot. So, but I mean, the coaches do an amazing job with that with us, of teaching us basically how to do it at a high level, how to score points at a high level. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think the world was thinking, um, obviously North Central won it the year before, and I think the whole world was waiting for that duel to happen, right? And
yes, yep,
and I think a lot of people, I think the outside world sees Iowa and goes, okay, they're going to blow them out, right?
yes,
And that's
100%.
what the expectation. But I think the girls in the room have been wrestling those girls in the room since they were 6 years old and 8 years old. So
Yeah.
we all, you all know the talent level. But the most anticipating match of the year came at the national duels, and you
Hmm.
guys wrestled, and man, was it fireworks! I mean, you both, you and them both put on a great show. You guys won by criteria, I believe, right?
No, it was by
Uh,
1 point. One
1 point.
point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think it was like, yeah, one. I didn't remember it was 1 point or criteria. However, I know it was close, but the anticipation of that, you guys knew what that meant. North Central knew what that meant. How, what was the energy in that place when you two, when that duel happened, when that duel took place, and obviously you guys turned out on the right side of it because it you won it, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you said, I think especially the people that maybe aren't too familiar with women's wrestling, or at least in college, yeah, it's like if you're wearing, a Hawkeye, Tiger Hawk on your chest, like you're good. You're automatically good, right? You're Iowa,
right,
and so it's like just not the case. And yeah, like if you're very familiar with it though, you know what North Central's about. You know that, the coaches over there have done an amazing job building that program up, from the resources that they've had, and they've done an amazing job with it. So we knew, and again, the people familiar with the wrestling world know, how high level that team is, and that it was going to be close. It wasn't going to be a blowout either way. And I don't know if we anticipated it to be that close, but it definitely made for an amazing duel. And it brought both teams together. Moments like that and like duels like that bring both teams together. Um, and just especially in such the small moments, going down to the last match, and the way that you cheer and like the anticipation you have and the love for your teammates just all grow in those moments. And it was good for us, like we hadn't, I don't think, us or North Central really, we hadn't had a test like that the whole season, and I think we both knew that was going to be the test for both of us, kind of going into the remainder of the season. But we took a lot of great things from that. And it just motivated us because a lot of things, can be said about close duels and close matches, right?
right.
People are swaying one way, oh, well, this, and then vice
Yeah,
versa.
one thing happens. I think earlier in
Exactly.
that duel there was a match where I think your girl surprised one of their
Yes.
girls, and
Yep.
I think she caught her. So I think she caught her. if I'm remembering, like one of the lower weights, and that
Yeah,
turned the tide
there
right
was
there,
one
and that was
exchange that flipped everything. Yeah. So
yeah,
like you said, there's some, and stuff like that. Yeah, some duels or some matches you're supposed to win, you don't, some that you're not supposed to win, you do. Like those type of things that like a couple of those happened in our duel. And yeah, like I said, when it comes down, like I said, to the last point, that can create some some banter, like, well, some
yeah,
people agreeing with it and not simply. So that more so just motivated us. We didn't take that in a bad way, a negative way. That's part of sports, and people are gonna have their opinions. It's not a bad thing. I think that just motivated us for nationals to go and put on a better show. And I think we did.
yeah.
Um,
And typically, when it comes down to Kylie Welker, I think you guys are
yeah,
probably pretty excited. But yeah, when it comes down to watching the matches with her and McCoy, I always mess up the name. Um,
yeah, that's a tough one.
so sorry, McCoy, but yeah, they always put on great matches. But I think Kylie really took it to her this year, and 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 then she got one back. But obviously, watching those two go at it is insane, and it typically comes down to their match, right? I think it came down to their
I mean,
match
yeah, yeah, right.
in
Last week.
IBT, right? Yeah, in the
Yeah,
IBT as well.
exactly.
Yeah, because then you
Oh
guys
yeah.
get to the IBT, the national championships, and now here we are. They've got like 8 people in the semifinals,
Hmm.
and Norton would say, "Well, we shit the bed, right? Like we got one girl through or two girls through."
Yeah,
So yeah, you guys were up really. They were up, and then you guys, and then it came.
it was
Well,
back and forth.
and then I think you guys won by 6. Was it 6 or 7?
Yeah, because we were leading by one going into that last match, and yeah, it was. I mean, it with the whole 2 days, it was like we were winning, they were winning, and for us, it was just don't pay attention to that. We all have individual, not only just individual goals, but it's like you got to go do your job. That's all you can do. That's all you can ask is you go out there
Right.
and you do your job. That's really what we say to each other. Especially in the moments, yeah, when I mean we were down big at some points and it wasn't looking too good, and so instead of getting down and worrying about that, it's like, no, we tell each other, just go do your job. That's all you can focus on. And, like, yeah, that the first session of the second day was huge for us. I mean, everything that happened had to have happened. Like that whole semifinal
Yeah,
round,
everything went your way.
everything. With us, like with the matches we won, with the matches North Central lost, like that
Yeah.
had all had to happen. And however, the backside, they battled back on the backside, and that kept them, leading still, right? Even though we sent, over half than what they did into the finals, it's still them battling on the backside, and that's where a lot of championships can be won on the backside. You still can score points. It's not over, and so that was again big. They did their job on the backside as well, even after having a not so ideal session for them. So like I said, it was
That's
another
awesome.
major
So
battle.
your first year out of the gates, and you personally, because not all the girls won individual titles, but you personally are going to walk away with 3 rings, right?
Yes.
That doesn't suck, right?
No, not too bad. Not too bad for a year for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, good for you guys. And I hope to watch you and them and girls wrestling compete at a high level moving forward. I know we're going to start seeing other teams, right? Like I think Lehigh and Lockhaven and
yeah,
hopefully all
yep,
those teams start to come into the mix and it's just going to make women's wrestling that much better. Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
and it'll be fun to watch. But you grew up in Reno, right?
Yep, Reno, Nevada. Yeah.
So did you start in wrestling, or were you doing like a jujitsu or a martial art first and then kind of found wrestling, or how did you get
Yeah.
into wrestling?
Yeah, I didn't even, it's funny because I know a lot of people get into, wrestling that way, but for me, the first thing I ever did was football. Like that was my like first combat sport, I should say. I did t-ball, soccer, softball, I did all that stuff, but football was the first combat thing that I ever did, and I absolutely loved it. But obviously being a girl, and once you get higher in age, you're not able to participate in it as much. But then when I was about 6, I started football and wrestling at actually pretty similar times. But I just always loved contact sports. But I think I more so fell in love with wrestling because of the individual part of it. With football, like I loved it, but yeah, you can sit here and be like, dang it, if that guy did that or if he did this better. Whereas wrestling, it's just up to you, and I like that it can suck at times because it's like, it's all on you. There's no one else to blame and point the finger at. But then it's also a good thing because, you can fix it. You have full control to be able to fix that and to work on that stuff to be able to win. But then when you win, it's all on you as well. You kind of get the credit, and obviously with their support system as well. But when it comes to competing on the mat, that was my favorite thing about wrestling, and what really drew me to it compared to anything else was just how
Yeah.
individual it was.
And it wasn't something like your mom didn't do it, your dad didn't do it.
No, yeah,
You just
I mean,
found
my
it.
dad was a high school jock, I guess you could say, quarterback,
Yeah. Yeah.
football, baseball, but no, nothing. He never wrestled. No one in my family ever wrestled.
Yeah. None in ours either. And now my kids do it. They love it.
Yeah,
But yeah, my son is at North Central. He was a freshman this year. And then his brother is a freshman in high school. So
yeah,
they're they're wrestling away. We just went down to Puerto Rico and Daniel competed at the world trials there for Puerto Rico. So that was a cool experience. That was our
that's
first
awesome.
time
Yeah,
kind of experience something like for a kid that started basically seventh grade or eighth grade, to
right.
be where he's at now and get to experience that. It was pretty cool to go down and experience
Yeah,
that. So that was fun. And then my wife is from there, my family, and the food is good there. So you
of
get
course. Yes, it
you
is.
get
Yes.
yeah, you get to eat and enjoy. But so what's next for you this year? Where will we see you wrestle next? Are you going to be competing through the off season somewhere?
Yeah, so I'll have two tournaments this summer basically. The first one will be the Grand Prix in Spain, and then the World Championships in September, U20 World Championships. But during that, I've also, been able to get the opportunity to come down here and, train with Kennedy and be able to attend, I'll be her training partner, so I'll be able to attend the Olympic camps as well, which is such an amazing opportunity to be able to train with literally the 1%, top 1% of wrestlers in the world. So I'm extremely grateful for that and how that will prep me for the World Championships. And but yeah, the first thing will be the Grand Prix of Spain. So that'll be good to get another international competition in before getting ready for the World Championships.
Yeah, the World Championships, I think, are what, September 5th through the 9th
Yeah. Or
in
it's second,
Spain.
or it's like yeah, no, it is 5th through the 9th, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
you're there the same time the boys are there, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're going to Pan Am's in Peru.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
if he doesn't completely shit the bed, then we'll go to Spain. But we'll see what happens.
absolutely.
He's gonna to work hard and see what happens.
Yeah.
So if I do end up in Spain, well, I'll take pictures of you for you.
Sounds good. Perfect.
That would be cool. And
Yes.
if you ever need your own private photographer, if you ever need me to come out there, let me know. I'd be happy to
Gotcha.
do it. That would
Sounds
be
good.
fun. But yeah, that's cool. So U20 Worlds are next, and your goal is LA 28, right?
Yep, for sure. Yeah.
Pretty cool that Kendall, that Kennedy chose you to be her training partner. That's pretty awesome. So you guys have obviously known each other for a while then. And
Yeah.
does that mean that you'll travel with her to Paris as well?
Yep. Yeah. So I'll be able to go there and, attend the whole acclimation camp and be able to go through that process, which again is to be able to experience that before you try to do the real thing is one of a kind. Not everybody gets to do it. So, to be able to experience that and be there for her and, help her reach a lifelong goal, in any way that I can is just so huge. And like I said, to experience that stuff and see how it all works and people operate before I can go out there and do the real thing is going to be an
Yeah.
amazing experience.
Well, and I think you get to experience it because I think I was telling Kennedy, like I remember when I was speaking to Coach Frere from Virginia Tech, the first time he went as an alternate.
Hmm.
So he kind of got to experience the cool stuff. He got to go watch the dream team wrestle and watch, Phelps swim and watch whatever. He got to kind of see the Olympics happen. So he said, man, that was really cool. The second time he went, it was locked and loaded, right? He's like,
Yes.
I was so focused, I didn't get to experience that, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think you going as a drill partner, it's almost like an alternate, right? You're going to get to
Yes.
go and obviously help her and be there for her, but there's only so much you can do, right? So
Yeah.
you
I
might get to be
get to
able
do
to
more
go
of the fun
experience.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yep.
you
Yep.
get to go do the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So that would be pretty cool. But then it also make you dream big, right? Like look and
Yep.
watch that and go. Yeah, because typically doesn't Kennedy have like a built-in training partner at her house? Like isn't
Yeah.
isn't typically Karina is there, right?
Oh yeah,
Like
exactly. No, that's
those two
yeah.
those two girls growing up with like their own training partners, that's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
pretty
No, that's
awesome.
that's definitely yeah, it's a unique thing to have. And yeah, I know they've been blessed.
Yeah, and I know I think I'm sure Karina wants to be there with you in LA. So
Yes,
uh,
exactly.
hopefully you both make it, and
For
God willing,
sure.
I'm still around and I get to go take pictures of it. That'd be cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's the goal for sure. And then
Well,
Candy
I
will
mean,
come and she'll get to experience, the fun part
yeah,
that she's not
yeah,
competing.
yeah. She'll be your drill partner.
Yep,
No,
exactly.
no, I'd imagine those two girls want to go together
For sure.
at some
Yeah.
point, but you guys will have to have a negotiation there to figure out, okay, I'll go this kilo, you go that kilo,
Yeah.
you go that
Oh
kilo.
yeah, I think we got it all lined out. I think actually that would work in our favor, the kilo wise. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and I'd imagine we're going to see Kylie in LA.
Yeah.
She's just awesome. What a good girl. I think she'll be down here in Florida, right? For the Spartan Nationals. So,
I think
because I
so.
think she's a Spartan athlete. So
Hmm.
that'll be cool. I mean, hopefully she's not mad at my picture because I had to take pictures and one of them was in the match. But I think she
Yeah.
posted it though and said, I love this picture. I don't know if it was mine or not, but that picture, I think she posted it and she was like, this motivates me, right? Because it showed her emotion, like where she was
Right.
down.
Right.
And good for her. She should do. I mean, girls at your level or athletes at your level, I don't think you get affected easily by that stuff. It's just pure like, okay, okay, that's what I did at this point, right? It's like it's different when you're a freshman in high school where you go home crying and you're like, I suck. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I hate this sport.
Mhm.
At this point, you're like, okay, that was my fault. I shouldn't have done
Yeah.
that. How did I let him step around me or her step around,
Yeah.
like stuff like that, right?
You think
Okay, I
about it
gotta
more logically rather than just I suck.
yeah, I
Like,
gotta
okay.
fix it. Yeah, yeah. You remember those days, right? Like,
Yep.
I hate this. I don't want to do it. And then you wake up in the morning and you go run and you go get back to work. But
Right
it's
back
cool.
to it.
Well, good luck at the Grand Prix.
Yes.
Good
Thank
luck at the World Championships.
you. Yes, thank
And
you.
good luck being a Hawkeye. I mean, that's awesome. I know it's got to be special to be part of that first ever class that is coming through Hawkeye Rest. I know, I mean, obviously you're recruiting and more girls are going to come in as we go, but I think you were that inaugural class, right?
Yep.
You came in with those girls. So I'm sure it'll be pretty cool. You guys will probably be on the wall at some point and
Yep.
you'll be there forever. And that'll be the first class of this. And it was pretty cool to watch and it was awesome to watch. And I enjoyed every moment of it, watching the duels and the IVTs, and then getting a chance to meet you and your family out there in Iowa was awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
It was.
I wish you guys absolutely the best. And uh, I even, I know I told Joe, Coach Norton, I'm like, hey, I met. She's like, oh my God, I love her, I love her so much.
Exactly.
I still talk to her even though she's a Hawkeye. No,
No, they're the
yeah,
best. No, I still
yeah.
have so much respect for those guys. They're awesome.
Yeah, he's like, no, I know she's hot, but I love her. I'm like, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good people, right? Good
Yes,
humans.
for sure. Absolutely.
Your rivals on the mat, but off the mat, nothing but love for everybody. So it's
Absolutely.
cool. And
100%.
obviously a pleasure meeting your parents. They were unbelievable. I wish I took more pictures of you.
In the
But
future, you got it
I
now.
did, after I think it was that the second day they assigned me a seat, right? So I couldn't
Oh,
be on a certain mat because if you're the Tony Rotundos and the Jeff Riccios and the Justin Hogue, those guys, well, those guys get the good seats, right?
yes, of
And then
course.
when you're the rookie of the bunch, you still get a great seat, but you're
Yeah.
over here. So sometimes matches are happening. You're like, oh, darn it. But I was very blessed to be in the room and to be there and to get to watch such high level wrestling. I came home and it's really weird because when you're there, it looks like you guys are wrestling like in slow motion. Not, I don't mean it like it looks so easy for you, like somebody shoots and you move the leg and then you go back
Yeah.
into it, or
Yep.
somebody shoots and you down block, and it looks so
Like
simple
effortless.
for you guys. But then when I
Yeah.
go and watch, when I come back to this level, I'm like, well, that wasn't happening there, and
Yeah.
and you could see the difference. In high school, you go to a tournament. I'm sure you remember in the first two or three rounds, you're blowing people off the mat, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets to where it's competitive, where watching that every single moment of every match was, I mean, you really didn't see a lot of people getting teched. You didn't see a lot of people getting blown off a mat. You really didn't see that a lot. And
Yeah, unless like someone locks it up and, because the best can still, yeah, get locked up and that stuff. But it's very, very rare. Yeah.
yeah, and was it? I'm sure. Had you been around a lot of those high level ladies before? Have you been around like the Forrest Molinaris and the uh,
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
those
'Cause
girls,
yeah,
Helen
just get
Maroulis and all
yeah,
the? Oh yeah, well she's a Sunkiss kid, right?
yeah, absolutely. And then, I've gotten opportunities to be able to go to like the Olympic Training Center when I was younger and see a lot of those girls, I've known Adeline since I was like 8, because my dad reached out to her. So she was my mentor growing up and I got to have an amazing, friendship with her and she helped my parents through a lot of it on how to, if they were doing too much or like this, how to help tell them to kind of take a step back for something. So yeah,
I've been there. I've had a
yep.
coach do that to me.
Of course.
You
Yeah.
know, I grew up like a football kid or a baseball kid, and dads and uncles are yelling from the fence, right?
Yep.
So I'm
Mm-hmm.
yelling from the stands, like, "What are you doing, you idiot!" Right? And then the coach is like, "Hey, that's not the way it works in wrestling, right?"
Yep.
I'm like,
Yep.
well,
Exactly.
"All right." So, and then after about, I think before my son's freshman year, we went to a camp in App State, and I would always go after him right after a match. Hey, you okay? You okay? And he's like, okay, Dad, here's the deal. You got to leave me the F alone for 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes after a
Yes.
match.
Yes.
And I'm
Yep.
like, no, I can't. So
Yep.
lessons learned, just like they taught you. Speaking of Adeline Gray, I know before we jump off, how awesome was that moment that she went over and hugged the Blades and did that? That was her and her sister, Geneva. I mean, I spoke about that moment, I think, or I posted about it, but that was really, really classy.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was. And it's not that it was hard for me, but yeah, it's like seeing someone that like has grown up my mentor and then, across the mat with my best friend, someone who has helped me, grow into the person I am and has really just been my person, these past 5 years since knowing her. And same thing for Candy, right? Like Adeline's been that the girl, she's been the face of USA women's wrestling for as long as we can remember. So, some people like to call it, yeah, the passing of the torch. And, you know what's gonna happen eventually, but it is still just it's an amazing thing to watch though, if you think about it. It's like hard, but it's like it's gonna happen at some point. And I think we can all appreciate what Adeline has done and like what she's come back from just being a mom, not only giving birth, but still being a mom, competing at the highest level at Olympic trials,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it was. And yeah, for her to come over and just yeah, like you said, just pure classy and be able to respect that. And because she knows what that moment feels like and knows what that feels like for family as well. To see your daughter achieve a lifelong goal. So it was just awesome for her to be able to do that and, after, losing something so big.
Yeah, super cool. And I feel like, I mean, Kennedy is just an amazing athlete. And I mean, her skill set is unbelievable. And I think when she's hitting on all cylinders, I don't think anybody in the world's going to beat her, And I hope that she hits on all cylinders out in Paris. And if she does, she's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, no, I
Uh,
believe she will. I think she's built up a very, very good system around her, with family, friends, coaches, and just people that know her, know how she operates, and are able to, give her what she needs to be able to compete at the highest level, whether that's mentally, physically, and all that stuff. And that's just, what I want to be able to be for her. Is not even just as a training partner, like do what I can as a best friend to help her achieve that and be as stress-free as possible, like
yeah,
maybe
just
maybe letting the small things go with
yeah,
her.
be
So
a friend. Yeah, be a
even
friend
things
in the
that
room,
are
right? Be a
big.
friend in the room. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, obviously with freestyle, anything can happen because you get a leg lace, man. That those things are nasty, right?
For sure.
All of a sudden you're going like this, and you're like, oh. I remember my son's first ever freestyle match. Never did it before, and he got laced by like a kid that was like number 4 in the country from what's that? The high school in Arizona, that big high school that's in Arizona. That's all
Valorant?
Valorant. Yeah,
Yeah.
Valorant. Yeah, this kid just caught a leg lace, rolled him across, and I remember him coming off the mat, and my wife goes, "Hey, what was that thing that just happened to you?" And he's like, "I don't want to talk about it." He's like, "No, what was that thing?" And she's like, "Leg lace." And I was like, "Learn that, learn that,
Yeah.
learn how to do that."
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, learn
Absolutely.
that move. I like that move. Learn that move. So yeah, he's been trying to learn that move. But yeah, it's I don't I mean, she's just big, she's strong, she's athletic, and I think we're rooting for her as we are rooting for all the girls
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
boys that are going to represent the USA, and it's awesome. I kind of keep thinking of stuff. I know if you want me to shut up because you have to go,
No,
just say shut up.
perfect.
I got to
Keep
go.
going.
Yeah, because I sometimes isn't beach wrestling for women going into the Olympics, or has it hit the Olympics yet,
I
or
think it is. I do think it is actually.
is that something that you would ever try?
I think it is. I think I'd rather push for more Olympic weights, but yeah, it's probably
Yes.
something I would try. Yeah, I think it is unique. I think it's actually a cool thing. But yeah, if I had a choice, I would just hey, let's just add more
Yeah.
weights in wrestling. Come
Yeah.
on.
Let's just add more weights, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm learning about the whole competing like at Pan Am's or World Games. I'm trying to educate myself, and now they're adding the beach wrestling to it, but it's not something you qualify. If you qualified for Greco or freestyle, women or men, you can just put your name in to go wrestle beach wrestling too if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah.
I think at least at
Rules are different too, right? I think the beach wrestling rules are different. Something?
yeah,
No, I'm
something
not.
my son was trying to tell me like there's 3 points and you lose or something,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
you see a lot of the a lot of the older girls and guys, but now you're starting to see like U15 beach
Hmm.
champions,
Yeah.
U17. So I think we're going in that direction, uh, and for women and men both. I mean, the more wrestling opportunity, the better. And if that grows, well, I really believe I realized last year when I was at Fargo that the women are gonna they're just doing something special for this sport. I was at the girls Fargo finals last
Hmm.
year, and it was pure insanity. The music was going, the girls were dancing, the phone lights were on, the teams were going. It was a party, right?
Yeah.
Tony Rotundo got up and started dancing up on the stage, right? And
That's
uh
awesome.
and then of course the boys came, and yeah, there was some cheering and stuff, but it wasn't as like, sorry boys, I love you too, but it wasn't the same, right? And then when you go to a high school gym and it's an all girls tournament, you see the dancing, you see the singing, you see the camaraderie. It's so different, and I really feel that can pull people in that don't watch the sport, right? Like, I mean, obviously,
Absolutely.
like the girl basketball player is doing now. That just
Yep.
all of a sudden now they're selling out gyms because you have this person. And I think as we're growing, and the girls like you coming up, and obviously with Kylie and with the Blades and with all the girls that are making the Olympics, and the young girl that who'd she lose to? She lost to Sarah Hildebrand. I think she's from.
Audrey Jimenez.
Wow, that girl's unbelievable to watch wrestle.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah. She's
obviously
phenomenal.
Sarah Hildebrand is Sarah Hildebrand,
Of
and
course.
that nasty leg trip thing she does
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
awesome to watch. But that girl's going to be something. Well, she's something already. I mean,
Yeah.
to say you beat everybody, but her, Sarah Hildebrand, that's not a bad year,
Not
right?
too bad. For sure.
Yeah. So all these girls, it was so cool to be there and see all those young girls coming up and from everywhere.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's in a good spot, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like it's really important like to show like personality on the mat. I think that's something that will help grow too. You don't always have to necessarily be serious. Sometimes that helps people though. They need to be serious, they need to be locked in. But like I've never like celebrated after a match before, I think until this year. I don't really it's not that I'm like celebrating towards my opponent, it's more so like towards the crowd and the Iowa crowd, right? Because I mean they get you going, right?
It's
It's their
something, right? Yeah.
yeah, so that was something that kind of I just had like let it out, but I think I'd like to show more personality during my match, and like be unique in that way. So, with my style, with, whether it's being exciting, showing character, obviously you don't want to be disrespectful about it, but I think there's an entertaining way that you can go about it. Or whether it's, Gable Steveson with his backflip, like that stuff, unique characteristics are huge for the sport and will help it grow and will help grow your personal brand as well, so.
Yeah, I think it's I definitely, so I do media days, right? I do media day so I do team photos, and I go and I set up a background and do the
Yeah.
lights and the girls. Anytime I do a girls team, it is so much more fun.
Oh, I'm sure girls in their pictures though, it.
Oh my
You
goodness, they bring out all the props, and I don't have to
know.
tell them to do anything. They're ready to go. They've
Yeah.
got the glasses and the cane and the bats, and they're all getting ready. And then it's like one more word, one more. No, can we do two more? I'm like, all right, I don't care. Get as many as you
Yeah.
want, right? And the boys are fun. They get into it, but not like the girls do. The
No.
girls,
Yeah. for
Pretty
sure.
exciting. I'm sure you guys do that at Iowa, the media day. I
Oh
think I
yeah.
saw the
I,
post where you
I
guys.
I don't even know how long our media day was this year. It went though. It was, yeah. I had to leave for class. I was like, all right, I got my pictures. I'm gonna head out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on. It was a
Of
pleasure to
course,
meet
thank
you,
you.
and thanks for coming on. And if any of your friends ever want to come on, I'll be happy to have them. But
Absolutely.
it was cool to meet you and meet your family, and good luck. Um, and I'll be rooting for you. I'd love to see you do great things. I've got another person to root for, so uh,
Absolutely.
I'm now a fan.
I really appreciate it. Yes, thank you so much. And thank you again for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. And I don't know what part of Florida are you guys at?
It's called Wildwood. It's like 30 minutes or
Okay.
45 minutes from Orlando, the
Yeah, so
villages.
you're right up. Yeah, we went up there. They usually do like our regionals or districts sometimes up in the villages.
Yeah.
It's really growing up there. It's
Hmm.
awesome place. Well, if you guys ever need anything, I'm here.
Sounds good.
Take it easy
All
and
right. Much.
good luck. Yeah, take it easy on her now. Now keep
Of course.
don't
Yes.
beat her up too bad.
Oh, no worries. I'm being careful.
All right.